Hi guys, my name is Katie. I am a criminal defense attorney, a former federal prosecutor, and I'm here today because I want to talk about a topic that I've covered in some of my other videos, and it is about talking to the police. It's one of the most popular topics, and people really need to know how to navigate these situations if, God forbid, you're ever in one of those positions. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about another specific topic that comes up during interrogations, and that is polygraph exams. So we all know what a polygraph is. It's pretty popularized in the media, lie detector tests. We all heard of them. And in criminal cases, a lot of people on the lay side, the non-professional side, think that they play a really big role in how these cases get resolved. So is that true? And should you take a lie detector test? What if you fail it? What if you pass it? How does this all work? So let's get started. So my advice, and any defense counsel's default advice, is going to be that you are not going to consent to a polygraph, no matter what, especially a polygraph that is administered by the law enforcement agency or some contractor that they're working with. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm actually going to tell you a couple of horror stories, I guess, if you will, of some of my own clients and how they got into a position because of a polygraph. So the number one piece of the polygraph rule is, no, I don't want to take a polygraph. Why? Again, we have to know why. We're not just going to blindly tell them no. What if we took it and we passed and our case went away? What if I'll never know how this could have ended? Okay, so let's talk about it. Number one, should you take it? No. Why? Well, what if you fail? Well, that's not going to be good. Maybe you fail because you're lying. Maybe you fail because the test is faulty. Maybe you fail because it's very ambiguous. These tests are historically unreliable. There's been many studies done regarding the reliability, with regard to race, with regard to background, with regard to lots of different factors. And there is some evidence that they are not reliable instruments to detect deception accurately. So that's kind of the obvious reason, is you don't take it because, God, what if you fail? That's not going to look good. So that's number one. Number two, though, what if you pass? What if you pass? No deception detected. Thank you, sir, ma'am. Sorry for bothering you. You can go on your way. Not so fast. So we have clients all the time offered to take polygraph examinations. Sometimes, unfortunately, clients already have talked to law enforcement and taken a polygraph before they ever contacted us, so we can't do much about it except on the tail end, which I'll talk about. But really, even if you pass a polygraph, there is no obligation for the government to get rid of your case and throw it out. In fact, you can't even present it at a trial if you ever even get there. So if you pass, well, good for you, I guess, but they're not going to do anything. So it's a lose-lose. You lose if you fail, you lose if you pass, or you gain nothing, I guess you could say. But that's really all that could happen here. And if you lose, don't worry about it. That will be used against you. That will be used against you. If you pass, that will not be used for you. Think about that. So unfortunately, that's kind of the state of affairs with polygraphs. And I told you I would tell you a couple of war stories about some clients that have had polygraph gone wrong situations. One of my clients, and I'll kind of keep this general, even though these are public cases and theoretically could look it up, I'll keep it pretty general. You won't be able to figure out who I'm talking about, but it's good to know about these situations. I have had many clients, and this is the technique of law enforcement, to get called in, question, they agree to talk, they don't lawyer up, we know that's a mistake, but they don't do it, and then at some point they're offered to take a polygraph. Now, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, the law enforcement agents will pull somebody back in after they take this polygraph and tell them that they were determined to be lying, that they detected deception. And this is a technique that may not necessarily be based in the truth. It's another way that they'll try to get you to come around. I had a client who was interrogated one time for a very long period of time, never said anything incriminating. He did talk, but he didn't give any quote unquote confessions, was pulled back in, asked to do a polygraph. This is all pre-representation. And he did so, was told he was lying on the poly, and then of course, gave a whole new story. That was a very unfortunate circumstance for that young man. And that happens all the time. That's a dime a dozen sort of situation. Unfortunately, the police can lie to you, tell you failed it. You have no idea what they're even talking about. So in a stressful situation, people react in very unique ways, and it may not be that you're telling the truth, but somehow you come up with some version of events to satisfy them because they're hounding you and hassling you about what you're lying about. So there's an unfortunate occurrence of that in many interrogations if you concede to taking the polygraph. You don't want to be in that position. It's not a fun place to be. Another example, and this is actually even more frightening if you think about it, same sort of situation, the client was pulled in, was questioned, agreed to talk, and then agreed to take a polygraph. During the polygraph, he was questioned about something relating to the initial offense and then kind of a related offense that was not really on their radar at that time, okay? For some reason, they told him they detected deception on the second crime that nobody had ever reported him for. So something he was reported for, they were looking into. The second thing, some topic that was related came up, new allegation. Nobody ever reported it. So they told him that he was lying about this potential other crime that had several victims that would have been implicated. No one had ever reported this guy. They hounded him, told him he failed the polygraph, he needed to fess up. He comes up with a very elaborate story about victimizing two people. The police then have to go locate these people. These people claim there was absolutely no memory of this ever happening. They don't believe it happened. They think it was just my client essentially just making something up because they have no memory of it. It's not something that they're aware of. Long story short, they go to trial, and just based on his confession post-polygraph, he's convicted. The victims, the alleged victims, never confirm anything. So that's a very serious situation, if you think about it, that you can incriminate yourself and basically build the entire case against yourself. It's wild, and it's a really awful thing that can happen. So I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I ask that you do not consent to take a polygraph. It really does not do anything to help you. Best case scenario, it does nothing. And what is the point of risking all those other things if that's the only thing you could potentially gain? So I hope that was helpful. I hope that kind of leads up to some other questions about questioning, rights, interrogations, whatever's on your mind. Let me know. I'll try to make a video if it's something that I know anything about. So see you guys soon, and don't forget, please, to subscribe. Bye.